Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate the hearing. Chairman Powell, appreciate the work that you do. Obviously, some of the questions that we have, both Republican and Democrat members had, are more in the policy realm, which is not your purview. You have tools as the chairman of the Federal Reserve. You have mandates, as I know Mr. Jordan and you were talking about. But many of those tools are harsh tools that we don't want to have to get to if we don't have to. And I think that's really where we as policymakers need to step up and do a better job so that it doesn't fall in your lap. And I think those points were made clear. And if you look at just the two mandates of the Federal Reserve, maximum employment and stable prices, right now we don't have either. And it's because of policy decisions. Policy decisions primarily by the Biden administration. Paying people not to work is causing real damage to our economy. You can't have 9 million openings for jobs right now at the same time that we're paying people on average $35,000 a year not to work, and then wonder why we have 9 million job openings. It's pretty clear. Every small business in America will tell you why. I hear the same thing across the board. They can't get all their workers to come back, and because of that, they can't open their business fully. Restaurants who are struggling, just scrapping and clawing to hold everything together, want to reopen fully, and in many states are able to reopen fully, but they can't because they can't get all of their workers back. And it's not like they've gone on to other places. They know exactly what's happening. They're being paid more not to work than to work. That policy has to end. You even said it. When the benefits run out, it will help. Problem is, Democrats here in Congress don't want those benefits to end. And we're borrowing that money from our children and our grandchildren to keep people out of the workforce. It makes absolutely no sense. It undermines your very mandates. And again, it would push us to a place where you would have to use tools. And we don't want to see high interest rates. We don't want to see limits on monetary policy. But that's where it would go if we leave it up to other entities like the Federal Reserve. We need to confront this here in Congress. We can look at how states have done well and how states have done poorly. We don't have to reinvent this wheel. You could just look at a few of the states who've done it right. Georgia probably has the lowest unemployment, 4.5%. They were the first state to open. They took a lot of criticism, just like Florida, when they opened their economy early. Some said, oh, everybody's going to die. The only problem is, when you look at the states that stayed mostly closed, they were the states actually that had the higher COVID death rates. And right now, to this day, just looking at recent numbers on 7-day average of COVID, Georgia, 14 per 100,000 cases a day. New York, 36 per 100,000, almost triple Georgia. Georgia's fully open. New York is still mostly closed. Broadway's not even going to open until September. There's absolutely no reason for that. They should be open today. They could be open today. Schools should have been open months ago. All the scientists, we've had people sit in the very chair you're sitting in, including Dr. Fauci, say under oath, schools should have been open months ago. And actually, you're doing long-term damage to the kids by not reopening schools. This isn't something that the Federal Reserve chair has anything to do with. It's policy. Policy of local governments that are hurting their economies and their people, and especially the children that are paying a big price. This is what's got to end. We need to focus on getting the economy fully reopened, on getting kids back in the classroom. And while we're doing that, we surely ought to be addressing the origins of COVID-19. Not a month from now. Should have been months and months ago when we started calling for it, because nobody should have to sit here and go, why did it happen? Why did this calamity, deaths, destruction of economies, people's whole livelihoods going away, suicide rates, we didn't even talk about that today, suicide rates, drug overdoses, all off the charts because of what we went through in the last year, and yet not a single hearing in over a year on the origins of COVID-19. So hopefully we can get back to focusing on the very policies that will help us get through this the right way so that it doesn't end up in your lap and things end up having to be abruptly changed to the point where it actually harms real families even worse than they've already been harmed. Because as we've seen, so many things that are happening, like all of this inflation across the board, that shouldn't be happening right now. We shouldn't be seeing all this inflation that are brought on by President Biden's policies and his overreaction to something where the science, in fact, one of the things we've seen is a whole lot of political science being practiced instead of medical science. So hopefully we can get back to common sense and the science that shows us where we should be going, when instead we're seeing a whole lot of actions that are devastating to people when they shouldn't be going through some of this pain. So let's focus on getting things open the right way, following that science, and doing it, and again, not reinventing the wheel. Go look at the states that have done it right. Many states have gotten it right. Many states have gotten it wrong and still to this day are doing it wrong. Let's not have the federal government continue to do it the wrong way by making things worse. With that, I would yield back, Mr. Chairman.